This is MS4, Text Industry and Audience, and we're studying advertising and marketing, and in particular the Prometheus film campaign from 2012, which was by 20th Century Fox. And the lesson objectives. By the end of the lesson, you should have listed all the components of the Prometheus marketing campaign, made notes on the different aspects of the campaign, so remember you can stop the video whenever you want to make notes, and you should have completed a terminology test at the end. And here's some theory and terminology that might be useful to you when we're studying this campaign. Front-loaded campaign, where all the advertising happens at the beginning or before the launch of the film. Content-driven simply means that the advertisers are providing really entertaining content rather than direct advertising messages, and they're hoping that the quality of the content and the fact that it's entertaining and involving and engaging will keep people coming back for more. I'm sure you already know all the rest of the theories and terminology here, but if you've got any problems at all, look at your notes, Google it, have a look on Moodle, there's plenty of information. So the background of Prometheus. It was released in 2012 all over the world, and it was directed by Ridley Scott, who is one of the biggest names in Hollywood. And it was produced by 20th Century Fox, which is owned by News Corporation, which is Rupert Murdoch's company, so it's a multinational conglomerate. It's the latest sequel, it's actually a prequel in the Alien franchise. That franchise includes Alien from 1979, Aliens in 86, Alien 3 in 1992, and Alien Resurrection in 1997. So this is a very well established franchise of films. We've also got the crossover films, Alien vs Predator and Alien vs Predator Requiem. Okay, let's have a look at the trailer. It was an interesting case with Prometheus because the Hunger Games that was released roughly at the same time already had this very active fan base who'd read the books. So Prometheus didn't have such a big pre-existing fan base. There were hardcore fans who knew the franchise of films, but they had to be much more creative. Now, Chris Ironman, who was the creative director of the campaign, said his goal was to blur the boundaries between content and marketing, fiction and reality, story and game. So it was about really engaging people in the film and getting them fully involved in the film before it was released. And part of getting the audience involved was the teaser campaign. This is the first of the teaser trailers. It's based on a TED Talk, and TED Talks are talks by experts in different fields, and they're available online, and the TED brand has become very well known, and it's associated largely with technology, industry and science. So why was it successful then? It created lots of enigmas, so people were asking questions about how this information would fit into the film. And it also engaged the hardcore fan base because there were lots of images and names that were familiar to them from the films. It utilised existing social networks to spread the video, and it blurred reality and fiction. This is what we call hyperreality, when we're not sure what's real and what isn't. And finally, it provided backstory to the film narrative, so it made it more pleasurable when you went to see the film because you already had some information about it. Okay, let's take a look at the official Prometheus website. Now, the website has been set up as though it is by the Wayland Corporation, which is the corporation that's featured in the film. So that's very engaging for the fans because they are familiar with Wayland. And as you can see, you can have a look at the different videos and the viral ads. And you can also get very involved because you can apply for a job at the corporation. And once you have a job, you can do different tasks and you can also enter competitions. I can't because I don't have Internet Explorer. But as you can see, it's all set up as a real corporation, so it's very believable. It's this idea of hyper-reality again, which is a very postmodern idea. So why was it successful? Well, it drew the audience into the campaign with lots of games and competitions and content that would keep them interested for the months leading up to the release of the film. It kept releasing new content to maintain the buzz and to ensure that people would keep sharing that content on their social networks. And it created hyperreality, which is a very postmodern idea. And it simply means that people were intrigued because they weren't sure what was real and what wasn't, especially with the TED Talk, which appeared to be like a genuine TED Talk. So here's some information about the Wayland Industries website. And as you can see, they're using all these tools to draw people in and to get users to interact with the text in some way. And Ironman said the audience should have an active role to play in the narrative and their own place in the story world. So he says fans were given the opportunity to carve out an identity for themselves, whether as an investor in Wayland Industries and by proxy the Prometheus mission, or as potential crew members. One of the later parts of the campaign is a viral ad, and it features a character called David, who is a synthetic who features in the film. It provides footage that isn't in the film again, but it provides a lot of information about the character and about the diegetic world of the film. Another interesting part of the campaign was using LinkedIn, and they sent personalised LinkedIn messages to influential people to apply for a job with Wayland Corporation and take part in the training experience. So there was a very good use of direct marketing. So why was it successful? Well, it ran over a long period of time. It utilised a range of platforms. It was content driven. It used enigmas. It encouraged the audience to be very active. It used a high degree of interactivity, and it utilised existing social networks to create a viral campaign. So what we have is a very sophisticated use of digital technologies. Okay, let's look at why the campaign was successful in using new technologies then. It harnessed the power of existing social networks. So it used LinkedIn, it used Facebook, it used YouTube and lots of other social networks as well. So this was free advertising. There was a high degree of interactivity as well. So users were motivated to actually get involved in a campaign. And it combined platforms. We had TV, print, as well as digital media. And especially with the Twitter campaign, when the TV advert was first shown, when the trailer was first shown on Channel 4, it was shown with the hashtag "Are you seeing this?" People tweeted about their reactions to the trailer, and then in the following commercial break, the tweets appeared on the screen. So this is very much a multi-platform modern campaign. And of course, because of things like that, it exploited convergence. So people were watching TV and tweeting at the same time, which wouldn't have been possible before convergence. And it maintained this constant flow of content. So for months and months, up to a year before the campaign, there was plenty to keep fans interested. Okay, so let's see what terminology and theory you've remembered. So stop the video to answer the questions, and then you can play it again to see the answers. Okay, question 1. Hyperreality is when the boundary between reality and fiction is unclear. Question 2. Content-driven means that the campaign is using content to entertain the audience rather than very explicit advertising messages. So it's not saying to us explicitly, watch Prometheus. It's drawing us in with content that engages us and entertains us. Question 3. The Prometheus campaign is an example of media democracy because the audience has the ability to feed back to the institution, and also the audience has the ability to create content that relates to the film. And finally, question 4. When all the marketing is done before the opening of the film, it's called a front-loaded marketing campaign, and it simply means that the advertising company are trying to build up a huge amount of buzz, which will then become viral, and there will be huge numbers on the opening weekend. That's the end of the lesson. So make sure you've got really thorough notes. You need lots of detail here and lots of examples. And if you want some extension reading or if you want some clarification, then there's lots of information on Moodle as well. See you in the next lesson.